Okay, on the way, welcome to another video here on Chalupawana US Men's National Team Talk. So, in this video, we're going to be talking about 5 players I think the national team needs to implement for World Cup qualifying and for Qatar 2022. Wow, it's not that far away, what, like 11 months or so? And it's clear there's some players that the U.S. is missing. If you watched the Bosnia matches and some of the terrible performances in World Cup qualifying, like, Panama, the beginning of Honduras, Canada, yeah, that was also a terrible one as well. So yeah, these are 5 players I think could really help the U.S. men's national team in some areas that they have some weaknesses. First player we'll look at is Daryl Dike. Obviously, just made that big move back to West Brom with his former manager at Barnsley. So that familiarity is good. He's going to get some minutes at a pretty good level. And we just need someone to push Pepe, because I think Pepe is the number 9, especially now that Pepe has moved to Augsburg, it looks like, and he'll be fit, fairly fit, hopefully in time for the 3-match window coming up. And I think that's big, also having DK and Pepe fit, because that would be awful with a not fit striker. We'd probably be seeing some Giassi Zardes thrown in there, maybe some other guys, Sargent, just on the fact that he's fit, because he's been playing consistently. But yeah, Pepe has scored 3 goals, 3 assists so far in World Cup qualifying. He's been very good. And I was going to save him before. A move to Europe where he doesn't play often could put him out of the running for a starting striker spot. So hopefully he gets minutes right away as soon as he's deemed fit and available for selection. So at least he gets a bit of a rhythm. But I think the main thing with Daryl Dike is he brings a whole different option as a number 9. He's got pace. He's physical. He wins duels. I think he has some passing ability from time to time, but it comes in glimpses. He's still very young in that manner. He's still got I think his movement, a lot of people have criticized, but I think he's getting better with those runs in behind. But I think it's maybe some of the movement, coming to the ball, knowing where to be out of possession is some of the critiques I've heard of him. But there's times in World Cup qualifying, the World Cup, where someone who can win just those duels, those 1v1 battles, makes a difference in a match. You got corners. A lot of these matches are going to be tightly contested. Someone who can win a header, can win a corner, can win a race for a ball into space. Stuff like that can be game changing in these types of matches, which can be very gritty. So I think having a player like him who can change things up, the type of look we have at strikers. Pepe isn't that type of player. He's going to be in those good spots. You want him to be off the ball. On the ball, he's pretty solid, but he's not exactly like super pacey or anything like that. I think Daryl are strong yet. So DK brings that different kind of physical approach to the game. Obviously that's why he's highly touted and why he played in that manner at Barnsley, which was very direct. So he obviously didn't look good in the Gold Cup, but he was injured, fatigued. He literally played about a year straight of soccer from 2020 to late May 2021. So obviously, it was a bit of a break because of COVID, but of course, the preseason for Orlando City started in 2020. So yeah, he played a lot of soccer. I'm going to call it soccer because this is USMNT talk. I usually would call it football, but hey. So he obviously he left Barnsley. He went to train with the Nations League squad, which began play in June. Then after that, he joined the Gold Cup squad in July. So he's played a lot of football recently, soccer. I'm gonna call it. Despite the limited time with the club, he coming back from loan, he still scored 11 goals in 19 matches. And there's really no other strikers who've had that kind of recent form. It's basically Pepe and DK, because Sargent isn't really doing much. P. Falk has had some good form recently, so he's a player to look at. I think he'd be another option as a striker. When we want to put some crosses, and he's pretty good at getting into the around the box in that manner. Of course, missed some chances against El Salvador, which were kind of the only chances we had that game, I remember. And that's the only critique of it. If he would have scored those, that could have been huge. So I remember a couple just kind of hopeless crosses put in that he got on the end of that he couldn't score. But moving to the next player, we're going to look at a guy who's been just kind of, a lot of people who follow U.S. men's national team really wonder why he's not been included in the squad after some decent appearances. So Luca Torre, the midfielder, looked good in cameo appearance in World Cup qualifying, but since then he's been left out because he apparently isn't as good in transition, according to him. That's what Berhalter told him. He's not as good as Berhalter's boys, Christian Roldan, Sebastian Lletget, and Kellen Acosta as a number 8. That's straight out of the mouth of Greg Berhalter, apparently. But in reality, if you watch some of the clips, he's solid in possession, looks to break lines, progresses the ball forward, gets stuck in from time to time. He doesn't look too bad defensively. He can put some challenges in, and he's he creates. He looks to create. He looks to press the ball forward. That's not what you get from Lletget, Acosta, and Roldan. And we saw that especially in some of Lletget's moments. I think it was versus the Canada and Panama. We had chances to break on the counter and just played the ball backwards, didn't get the ball forward, or played a unnecessary sideway pass. I mean, that's just what happens when you have these types of guys on the pitch. It's not good. So yeah, because of the fact that Acosta, Lletget, Roldan are just not good enough, Luca de la Torre, there's a chance. Of course, we have kind of McKennie Musa now, Busio, in good form. So I think de la Torre can certainly make a case to be involved and should see some minutes in these 3-match World Cup qualifying windows coming up. Another player, I always love this player, especially because I watched him a lot with the U20s. I always make sure to see as much of his matches with PSV, with, of course, the second division side, young PSV. But Richie Ledezma, he can still choose Mexico, but I really hope he chooses the U.S. because we don't have too many midfielders like him. The Mexican-American midfielder featured in the 2019 U20 World Cup victory over a strong France side in the knockout rounds. He played a perfectly weighted through ball on a counter to put the USA ahead early. And hey, that's what Greg Berhalter wants. He wants players who can work in transition against high-level opponents, and that's what he did. That France U20 side was like pretty much they were all players who were playing first-team football. Like Moussa Diaby, players like that Nkunku. I remember Zago, just some very good players were on that side. So, I mean, if you look at his highlights, also PSV, it's a lot of that. His vision, weight on pass is incredible, and it's unlike many players in the U.S. men's national team pool. Just before an ACL injury, he was breaking into the PSV first team. And also, I remember he played against Panama in Austria, I think it was, and so made his first cap in a friendly as well. So he's recovering now, getting some minutes to get back to full fitness. He really is a pure creative midfielder that the U.S. men's national team lacks. He's be a huge upgrade over Roldan, Acosta, and Lletget because he's a creative player. None of those guys are. And I think it might be him and De La Torre kind of competing for a World Cup spot, qualifying spot. So them two might be in competition, but I think as long as we have one of those two guys helping us progress the ball forward, it would be nice. I do prefer Ledezma probably, but I've always been kind of a big fan of his. So we just need a creative player like one of those two in the midfield. Now, an area where we really lack is a backup number 6, and I think James Sands, he played in the Gold Cup mostly as a center back. He filling in for injured Walker Zimmerman because I guess Donovan Pines wasn't good enough. Clearly, he spent most of the season at CDM for the MLS Cup winning New York City FC side. So he played in that horrific first half for Honduras, but he was a CDM in a 5-2-3, and it's just so harsh to judge a young player. He usually plays a CDM in a 4-back, or he'll play like a center back in a 5-back, the middle center back, the anchor. He was basically thrown into the fire, though, in that game. He had his lone midfield partner was Kellen Acosta. That, oh my God, not a good thing. Tyler Adams is out of position as a right wing back. John Brooks was underperforming as the anchor center back, and 3 other players who lacked World Cup qualifying experiences were next to me in that game. He had Miles Robinson, George Bello, and Mark McKenzie. So there's no real backup for Tyler Adams as a 6, because apparently, despite the fact Kellen Acosta had an incredible performance as filling in as a 6 in the Gold Cup final, he's not seen as a 6 according to Berhalter. He's an 8, and he's not good as an 8. As a 6, I feel like he can fill in and win some duels at least, but as an 8, terrible. He's not good at that position. So I just think James Sands needs an opportunity to see some time at that position, especially considering the fact that Tyler Adams has made a glass. We need a player who can step in there. So I think Sands needs the opportunity to claim his stake as Tyler Adams' backup. With some other players who just really aren't ready yet. You saw Carloso. He doesn't play much, and I think Sands is a bit ahead of him. Jackson Ewell, we all saw how he's terrible, so none of him, please. And then there's Joe Scally, the final player we'll add on here. The 19-year-old fullback can play both sides and looks to be a player that should and could push for Anthony Robinson's spot at the starting left backs. He's shown versatility, reliability for Gladbach. He's very comfortable on the ball, can get forward. He's played a lot as like a wing back. He's solid defensively, can cover both fullback positions comfortably. Looks to be very good with both feet, so no issues with that. And that ability to cover both of those spots can really make him valuable for a final World Cup squad. And his quality and form shouldn't be overlooked. He has a goal and 2 assists so far in the Bundesliga, just turning 19. He just turned 19. Other left back options like George Bello clearly aren't ready. And I really like Jonathan Gomez. I think he's a player, if he establishes himself quickly, can push himself into the conversation. So he's maybe an honorable mention we'll put here. Probably needs to I think Jonathan, he still needs to establish himself, Gomez, with Real Sociedad B. He's only played USL level at the moment, so he needs to establish himself with that squad and maybe push for that spot. There's also Sam Vines. He seems to be doing fairly well after recovering from an injury. I don't rate him highly, but he's also another option, but I'd much prefer to see Scally as the backup left back. Personally, he's playing at a much higher level against incredible opponents in the Bundesliga, and that's fared well. But you never know with Greg Berhalter, so that's the main thing. It's Greg Berhalter. I'll put some honorable mentions, some players I think who really can make a case. You got Conrad de la Fuente, but I think the kind of wing positions are overfilled unless you drop Reina to the midfield, which I think I would love to see that. So that's the one way he maybe can make a case for himself. Jordan Morris is a player who could bring a different look as a striker, I think more so than the winger. I think he's very predictable, pace on the wing, but as a striker, I think he's very interesting. There's some other guys like John Brooks, maybe Cameron Carter-Vickers who could be in the conversation, but as much as, obviously you have two MLS center backs in Walker Zimmerman and Miles Robinson, a lot of people criticize that, but they've been solid. You're not going to get like an amazing, actions on the ball from them and stuff like that, but they've been very solid with their 1v1 defending. And in some of those games are going to be overmatched. I think they would be maybe good options. I think when we're on the ball more, I really would like to see players I would like to see Chris Richards more and John Brooks in moments like that. So I think definitely you could make a case for Brooks being implemented back in the squad, and maybe a player like Cameron Carter-Vickers. He's not really good on the ball. I think he's very similar to like a Walker Zimmerman or Miles Robinson. So I don't see a huge difference between them. But Brooks with his passing ability, that's a big deal, I think, and a system where we really want to establish ourselves with having center backs who can play out the back and break lines. But any other players you think you would like to see implemented in the squad? There's, of course, Matthew Hoppe, Yokini, who bring different looks to the side. And so let me know in the comment section below. Bit of a longer video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. I'll be signing out now, and I'll catch you guys later.